Hello fans of uxwbill, uxwbill's mom here, and tonight we're going to show you how to make a very easy and yummy dessert. It's called Magic Cookie Bars, and there's a lot of variables here so you can really customize it and make it any way you want. And you simply won't believe how easy it is. So we're going to start with a 9x13 baking pan. I have a glass one here. It doesn't have to be glass, this is just what I happen to have. And 1 stick of butter. Now, I know some of you folks like to cook with margarine, and you could certainly substitute margarine if you wanted. I am going to use butter because I prefer real ingredients. Calories are calories, so if I'm going to eat them, they might as well be the good stuff. So, just to show you how simple this is, I'm simply going to put the stick of butter in the pan, and I'm going to put it in a warm oven, and I'm going to watch it just 5 minutes or so until the butter is completely melted in the pan. It's that simple. So I'll pop this in the oven because it is warm, because I just baked something. I'll pop it in the oven and I'll watch it, and as soon as the stick is entirely melted, I'll bring it out. Now, I don't want it to bubble or simmer or brown. I simply want it to melt. So that's step number 1. Melt a stick of butter or margarine in a 9x13 pan. Okay, so while we're waiting for the butter to melt in the oven, the next thing we're going to need is 1½ cups of graham cracker crumbs. Now, you can buy graham cracker crumbs in the store, but we've purchased just a regular box of graham crackers. We're going to make our own crumbs. Save a little money that way. So I need 1½ cups, and I'm not really sure how many are in here, but just by kind of squeezing it, it hasn't ruptured. I thought I would have to put them in like a baggie and roll them with a rolling pin, and that's a good way to make graham cracker crumbs. But this container is really pretty tough. It hasn't burst open yet, which kind of surprises me. No ruptures yet. So maybe I can make my crumbs by just squeezing it in the package. Oh, no, it hasn't ruptured yet.
I'll keep trying.
This could be great therapy. If you've had a stressful day, I want to make some crumbs. Anyway, it's getting a little grainy here. I think I might have a little rupture in my bag. However, I've also successfully made crumbs. Does appear to be leaking. It's always a good idea to put a towel out on your work area to kind of contain the mess. So if I do get a rupture, it won't be all over the table. So, and then I can very cleanly just pick my towel up and put it in the wash. So what do you think, uxwbill? Looks kind of crummy here, don't you think?
I think this is fast shaping up to be a very crummy video.
Well, one might say that's the way the cracker crumbles.
Oh boy. Well, my mother is doing her best to make a crummy situation better. Let's see how the butter is doing. We actually cut it up into little bitty pieces so that it would melt faster. It's not quite done yet, so it looks like it needs just a little bit more time. Put another couple minutes on the timer here, and we'll check in on it then. Have you ruptured that bag yet?
It does look like I'm leaking crumbs from somewhere, but I'm also crumbs. So what I think we need to do at this point is see how many crumbs we have. So the recipe calls for 1 1/2 cups of graham cracker crumbs, and it looks like we very neatly pulverized our graham cracker right in the bag. So we'll see how many crumbs are in a bag. So there's a cup. And by golly, I just don't know how lucky we can be if we come out even with this.
Survey says it's going to be very
and the
close.
Survey says close enough for government work. 1.5 cups of graham cracker from one package unit. And I can take my fingers in here and break any bigger pieces, but for the most part, that's pretty fine crumb mess. All right, so I am ready for the next stage. And the next stage says to sprinkle the crumbs over the melted butter. And see, now our mess is very nicely contained here on the towel, and the towel will also serve as like a heat pad when we set the warm dish here.
So let's see if our butter has melted, sports fans. Come over here and check this out. Stick a toothpick in it, make sure it's done.
Okay.
It looks pretty good to me.
Looks melted to me. All right.
A couple of odd solids in there, but nothing that
No, I don't
won't
really
mix
think
up.
so.
I'd say we timed that well.
Timed that well. All right, let's bring it over here to the table. Okay. So,
Now, this is difficult, so watch the steps carefully.
the dish is a little warm. Okay, so we have melted butter, quite nicely melted. It covers the bottom of the dish. It looks like we got a little crumb of something right in there. We'll get that out. Okay, so just to show you how easy this is, I'm going to take my graham crackers and I'm just sprinkling them over evenly. I want a nice even distribution. Now what's happening here is that the graham cracker crumb mixture is instantly absorbing the melted butter. It is not difficult to evenly distribute this around, and this is just a little bowl that was just handy. It's easy to hold onto when I sprinkle this out here like this. Okay, so the next step calls for 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. And usually you think of Eagle brand, but there are actually generic brands of Eagle brand milk, sweetened condensed milk. And here's an IGA brand, and this Coburn Farms also comes from a discount grocery. So I will get a can opener. Now if you've ever worked with this, it's very thick and it's not going to readily pour. So what I want to do is I'll puncture 2 holes so that it will flow. If you just puncture 1 hole, you create an airlock and it won't flow. So I'll puncture 2 holes with a piercing can opener, and then I will pour it over the graham crackers. So I neglected to get out a can opener, so I'll get one out in just a minute. All right, so I'm going to pierce 2 holes at one end and a couple holes at the other end. Now, I could use a can opener and remove the lid entirely, but it might pour better with a pierced hole. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is pour. And hopefully I'll get real good coverage before I run out of milk. All right, so I've gone across once. We'll go across again. Now this is called Magic Cookie Bars. And we'll see just how magic they are. Hopefully they'll be magically delicious. It does look like it's leveling out, and try to hit some of the low areas now. But it looks like this is pretty much submerging all of the graham cracker. All right. And we're just about to the end of the can here. And it is very thick, so we want to make sure that we give it ample time to dribble. So I'm just trying to hit some of the spots where graham cracker is still poking up. There you go. That's the next step. All right, so you can see this has been pretty easy so far. We've got butter, graham crackers, and the sweetened condensed milk. The next ingredient is chocolate chips, and I have real semi-sweet chocolate chips here. And I do think it's important when you're making something from home, use real ingredients. So make sure that you're using real chocolate chips. And I need 1 cup of them. All right. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle them along the top. Now, I'm not sure when the magic happens, but so far this has been awfully easy. And I'd like to say even a child could do it, and a child could do it, but of course adults should always supervise when an oven is being used. Okay, now, it's been a little trickier here to get a nice even distribution, but I suppose the chocolate will melt and kind of evenly distribute itself. Okay, now, your next layer could be anything from crushed peppermints, nuts, coconut, crushed cookies, but the ingredient that I'm going to go with is coconut because I like coconut. All right, so here I have some sweetened flake coconut, and the recipe calls for 3.5 ounces. All right, now I have no idea how much 3.5 ounces is, but we'll try to figure this out.
We could get a scale.
I could get a scale. The whole bag weighs 14 ounces. So half the bag would be about 7 ounces. A quarter of the bag would be about 3.5 ounces. All right, so I'm just going to kind of guesstimate. And okay, so now I'm going to sprinkle the coconut on it. And this is the last ingredient. And then it goes in the oven. Now what's going to happen here is the coconut is going to toast to a lovely golden brown. The chocolate's going to melt. I'm probably putting a little more coconut here than the recipe calls for, but that's okay, because I like coconut. I'm going to pat it down a little bit. And if I wanted to, I could put some crushed nuts on the top. So really, I can put as many different layers as I want. If I wanted to, I could sprinkle M&Ms on it, any kind of crushed candy, nuts,
Cookie bits,
Oreo bits,
goldfish, chocolate flavored goldfish.
just about anything that I want. All right, so now I'm going to bake it for 25 to 30 minutes, and it should come out a lovely toasted coconut with kind of a gooey chocolatey center and a graham cracker crust. It should be easy to then cut it into bars and serve it as a bar cookie.
And what should we set the oven to?
350. Whether you like coconut or not, if you were standing here, this is almost ready to come out of the oven. Oh, the butter, the chocolate, it's a rich, warm, delicious smell. Now, UXW Bill, You've got to come smell this.
I can smell it from over here, but I'm just going to try it. It smells good, and I say that as someone who does not care for coconut. Oh man, it's incredible. There's a note of homemade cookies in there.
Oh, it just smells fabulous. I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. I'm going to get the cooling rack out, and then we'll get it out of the oven. Okay, so we have gotten it out of the oven, and it smells so good. It looks like it's got kind of a chewy, caramely kind of an edge, and the coconut is toasted, kind of crispy, and the chocolate chips, it looks like they kind of retained their integrity. I thought that they would really melt, and I mean, it doesn't really look like they did. The Eagle brand milk will be the glue that'll taste kind of like a custard that holds the whole thing together, and I think they look fabulous. And they smell really good too. So, very simple. Butter, graham crackers, Eagle brand milk, cup of chocolate chips, and then just kind of covered the top with coconut. Pretty simple. I'm dying to taste them, but I kind of think they need to cool a little bit. So, there we go.